well and what is going on? This is the Club of the Man 1993 coming at you for my third retro review series, the start of it, that is. And as you can see, it's now for the SummerSlams. All SummerSlams dating back to the 1988 edition of SummerSlam where it first debuted on August 29th, 1988 in the beautiful Madison Square Garden in New York City. So I definitely said that I would definitely start this series, sometime after WrestleMania 34, as this would be my next retro review series. So far, I've done, well, this may be one of the last ones I do, unless if I think of like something else for retro reviews, but I've done a WrestleMania retro review series. I've done a Royal Rumble match retro review series. Just the matches, not the whole entire pay-per-view. Just like each of the Royal Rumble matches at the Royal Rumble pay-per-views, which I will update them yearly. So now I wanted to do the SummerSlams, but this one is going to be a little bit more laid back because I don't want to burn myself out on like watching all these SummerSlams at once. I mean, all of them are about like 2.5 hours to 2.5 to 3 hours, so they're not as long as like some of the WrestleManias being 4 hours long and whatnot, and then the Royal Rumbles weren't that difficult to go through. But I'm not going to burn myself out with these SummerSlam retro reviews. I want to take my time with them and just spread them out, get them done. Maybe do like multiples at once, depends on what's going on with my schedule and whatnot. But I don't want to burn myself out with these retro reviews, especially there's 29 for this series. Well, I mean technically 30, but I'm not going to do 2017 SummerSlam again because I already did a live review on that on this channel, and I quite frankly I don't really want to watch that one again because it was a complete dumpster fire. But yeah, I will do all SummerSlams from 1988 to 2016, and I'll just include the review I did for this year's SummerSlam in my put that into this playlist also, so that way they're all up to date. So again, I'm just gonna lay back, just spread these out, just do them as often as I can over the summer. As long as I have these done by SummerSlam this year, that'll be awesome. So of course, guys, as always, let's just just go back and review each of these, and let's see what we can do. Again, for me also as a late bloomer fan to definitely go back in time and just see some of these events that took place. People recommend all these matches to go back and watch from different events, and I will definitely continue to do so. So now let's start off with this SummerSlam retro review series. So the first SummerSlam, of course, so forth, took place in 1988, which that was the year that the WWE was finally, the WWF still at the time. They're trying to just expand out a little bit more. They're getting more mainstream attention. They already did start WrestleMania back in 1985, and then besides WrestleMania, by this point, the only other pay-per-view they had was Survivor Series, which was, usually the Sunday before Thanksgiving, which is when that happens. I'm not sure I don't think I'm going to do a Survivor Series retro review because they all really haven't really been that great, honestly. Um, but I will, but the game matches. So now they're trying to expand outward. They had the first Royal Rumble match this year, but it wasn't meant to be a big deal because it wasn't on pay-per-view because it was on live TV. In 1989 was when they started doing it on pay-per-view as a tradition, but there wasn't a stipulation to where the winner gets like a title opportunity at WrestleMania or anything like that. But SummerSlam game was just just another big event, just to get out there and expand out the brand. Also, because big names like Hulk Hogan or the Macho Man Randy Savage and Andre the Giant, all of them were catching big time attention. So how else would you make more money off it by having more big events like this, pretty much. So that's why SummerSlam began back in 1988. Again, the date for this was August 29th, 1988, at Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York. This was mainly a one-match show for the most part. I mean, there was one other match that I enjoyed pretty well, and that was for the tag titles between Demolition, Axe and Smash, and who was the other team? I'm trying to remember on my notes here. Yes, the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Also, that was a fun match. Also, most of the other matches were just meh, and then there's a couple that were just flat out boring and whatnot. So let's just get right to it and just breeze through these really quickly here. It's not going to be that much of a review, in my honest opinion. We open up with a tag match. The British Bulldogs, Davey Boy Smith, and Dynamite Kid versus the fabulous Rio brothers, Jacques and Raymond. The match, this wasn't too bad of a match here. This was probably a little bit more of a decent to solid match, I thought, between these two tag teams. This was, however, the only SummerSlam appearance, I believe, for Dynamite Kid, as he would, leave afterwards, and then Davey Boy Smith will go on for the next 4 years to be a solid, main eventer also in the promotion as well, make his name as a single star as well. But I think it was definitely a solid opening tag match, decently paced and whatnot. And the winners, actually, there were no winners in this match. This is back where they used to have time limits on the matches. So they didn't really emphasize, like they were getting close on time or anything, but they had to call this match because of the 20-minute time limit. So it was considered a draw for this match, but not too bad a match for the opening for SummerSlam at all. I mean, it was a 20-minute match, as I said before, but they get, unlike most of these matches that were kind of short, these first several ones, this one was given a lot of time. We saw some pretty decent tag team action. So the first match was just a draw. Then we had this match, it was sort of just like a short little squash match. Bad News Brown versus Ken Patera. Ken Patera was like some 45-year-old who couldn't really go that well at all. Bad News Brown just like squashed him pretty much like 5 minutes, as I said before. Just basic, punches and kicks and whatever you would get in a wrestling match. Just it was kind of just more like a dud squash match pretty much for the most part. So Bad News Brown wins. We move on now to this match. It was Rick Rude with Bobby the Brain Heenan in this corner, taking on Junkyard Dog. This match was kind of boring and kind of flat. Wasn't really too great. It was, again, this event was also, again, not just to expand the brand, but just to, I introduce more fans to like some of these other names besides like the big names that people already knew about, like the Hulk Hogan or the Randy Savages or the Andre the Giants, since big time attention was caught from WrestleMania 3 with the Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant match, that big body slam that Hogan did on Andre the Giant. But this match was kind of just boring, but it was meant to further on the feud between Ravishing Rick Rude and Jake the Snake Roberts, who came out during the match, and he attacked Rick Rude to save Junkyard Dog. So Rick Rude wins by disqualification. Again, the match was just, it was whatever. It wasn't really nothing really special right home about. Kind of boring. And so is this match next, this tag team match, the Powers of Pain, Warlord, and Barbarian, with Baron versus the Bolsheviks, Nikolai Volkov and Boris Zukov. Powers of Pain won. It was another really bland, awful tag match. Wasn't really anything special to it. I felt, in my opinion. I mean, I could have definitely paid a little bit more better attention to this show, but again, this show was more just like a one match show. I mean, it did its job because people came to see Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage in the main event, the tag match there that's set for bigger things to come. But these past two matches were just kind of just there, not really that great. Powers of Pain win. But this was more so like a special moment also, and kind of like started to take off the career for this superstar as well. So the Honky Tonk Man was issuing an open challenge for his Intercontinental title, as he had been at the time on a very long reign with that IC title. So they're going to keep it as a surprise. And the person to accept that surprise, of course, was the Ultimate Warrior. He came out and pretty much squashed the Honky Tonk Man to win the Intercontinental Championship for the first time. And you know what happens like in about a year and a half, because at WrestleMania 5 it was Savage and Hogan, but at WrestleMania 6 it was Warrior and Hogan, title for title. Intercontinental Champion versus the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Champion. So this was a squash, but it was definitely a moment for Ultimate Warrior also, and for us to remember also for the first SummerSlam. So I mean, I definitely found it'd be good also. The Honky Tonk Man claims he was accepted the challenge from anybody except for a Warrior. Like, he didn't mean he wanted a Warrior to accept this challenge or whatnot. So he was just going to be going after Warrior to get his title back. But Warrior eventually again would win both the Intercontinental and the World titles at WrestleMania 6, as we all remember that. So that was the moment for the Ultimate Warrior. Then we had this match, it's kind of underwhelming also. Dino Bravo with Frenchie Martin versus Don Morocco. Dino Bravo won. I've never really been that big of a fan of, was a big fan of either one of them when I went back and watched the WrestleManias and whatnot. So I mean, this match is just whatever also. Then we had this, though. It was a fun tag match. I like this match. Demolition, Axe and Smash with Mr. Fuji, their manager, taking on the Hart Foundation, Bret Hart and Jim Neidhart. Winner was Demolition. I thought it was a good match. A lot of great spots. The crowd was definitely really into it. as well. Also, just some great, early on tag action that, we definitely see a lot more of this fast paced action coming, you know, um, more so today that we got. But this was definitely some of the signs showing of some good ones. And some upcoming stars as well as, Bret Hart was also in this match. Also, this was a couple years before, he started getting his run as a singles star. Also, later on in his career, also getting his big WrestleMania moment at WrestleMania 10 in 1994 also, because he was in the title match at WrestleMania 9 against Yokozuna, but we all know how that went down. But at WrestleMania 10, he had two matches with his brother Owen in the opening match. Then he beat Yokozuna in the main event, of course, as well. But yeah, so he definitely a great match for the tag titles. Demolition to retain. We then had Big Boss Man with Slick taking on Coco Beware. Decent match. I never was that much impressed with Coco Beware. Big Boss Man, was recently a Hall of Famer also. Got in there as well. Afterwards, he attacked Coco Beware. Match was decent for what it was. I'll give it that. Then we had Jake the Snake Roberts versus Hercules. Match was okay. Wasn't really anything special either. This match again was more so just introduce Jake the Snake Roberts to the fan base. Also, he gets the victory over Hercules, and afterwards, of course, he brings out Damien the Snake. Being on Jake the Snake Roberts, I kept mentioning, he was the guy who was the originator of the DDT. So people would always pop big time for the DDT and for Damien also. So that was this match was meant for it, and he would go on to definitely feud also with Ravishing Rick Rude, as we discussed earlier when he interfered in the match with him and Junkyard Dog earlier in the show. So we got that, and finally we got our main event. It was the Mega Powers, of course, the Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan taking on the Mega Box team of the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Andre the Giant, with Bobby the Brain Heenan in their corner, and Jesse the Body Ventura as the special guest referee. Of course, Ted DiBiase, being $1 Million Man, was trying to bribe Ventura all he could also, and just play the mind games. As this feud was kind of tying in, both feuds between Andre the Giant and Hulk Hogan that had been happening since WrestleMania 3, and also this was your WrestleMania 4 where they had that championship tournament that came down to Savage and Ted DiBiase Jr. Not DiBiase, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase. So both these feuds were kind of tying in together pretty much, as the Mega Bucks were going after Savage because obviously Ted DiBiase wanted to get his title off of him. And then of course Savage challenged him to a match at SummerSlam, and then they accepted it, and then he was picked as tag team partner. He left a surprise till the end, where it was revealed to be Hulk Hogan. So that's when the Mega Powers debut. And this match also, again, it was more so just a character match for Hulk Hogan. Pretty much that's what he was more specialized for. Good wrestler, but he's more known for his character. Definitely a good fun tag match between these two teams. Also, this also began to set up the tension between Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, with how Macho Man didn't seem happy with the way Hogan carried around Miss Elizabeth. And then as a distraction, Miss Elizabeth threw off her dress and just showed what she was wearing underneath it, pretty much to cause a distraction on DiBiase and Andre, as the Mega Powers get the victory. But again, as I said, this started planting the seeds though for the eventual tension between Hogan and Savage, leading to their match at WrestleMania 5, where Hulk Hogan would defeat the Macho Man for the WWF Championship as well there. But yeah, that's pretty much the first SummerSlam. SummerSlam 1988 was pretty much, it was more so of a one match show. We had two decent good tag matches also, but that's the thing, we had a lot of tag matches on this show. It was just, you can only go so far with all these tag matches. If they're for championships, okay, but unless there's some good story behind it, they're kind of pointless, I feel. But this was it's like an average show, I'd say. So I give it a C for the first SummerSlam. What are your thoughts on, of course, the 1988 SummerSlam? What are your thoughts down in the comment section below? And be sure to always click my like and subscribe more content on the channel. Follow me on Twitter at DemandAirboy93. And just stay tuned for this this retro SummerSlam series, as I'm starting that now, and I'll just keep just spreading them out, doing them as often as possible. But I don't want to burn myself out, as I said at the beginning of this review. But yeah, my plan is though to get these done by SummerSlam this year in August, which I should do that because I have plenty of time. So guys, that is it, and check it out. Until then, great. Until then, guys, have a great night. Peace out, everybody.